And welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters Toronto. I'm your host, my name is still Jared Kale. How you guys doing? I love this crowd. I love you guys at home too, even Twitch chat. Your vitriol, your hate, I love it, man. Keep throwing it my way. Are you guys ready for your next match? Okay, this time I must remember alphabetical. Okay, the first guy, he's already been on stage a couple times. Don't need to go through the whole spiel, but he is the nerd crusher. He's been crushing nerds the whole tournament. I think he's back, man. Please, scream, shout, yell, jump for Leenock. And his opponent, the first time on stage in this tournament, also from Korea, very recently joined Team TSM and another former Intel Extreme Masters champion. Please put your hands together for YoDa.
Back here on the couch then before the game kicks off. Very interesting this one. Kalaris and Todd are with me. By my reckoning, YoDa's 52nd in WCS points right now. Leenock 44th. So in theory, neither of them have a hope in hell of getting to BlizzCon, but they might just have a chance if they win this tournament. And suddenly, these two have come from almost nowhere in relation to the stacked tournament that we have. Some of the bigger names are falling out of this tournament as we speak. Pulp, for instance, gone. The winner of Red Bull just a week and a half ago, gone.
So that's how
there's a big, a big opportunity for these kind of players. YoDa and Leenock, who are kind of knocking on the door a little bit in the past, maybe have won one or two big championships in the past, and they're known for what they did years ago. But now, in 2014, right at the edge of BlizzCon qualification, these two have an opportunity. I
think overall it's, I would say, more important for YoDa than Leenock, because YoDa is still in WCS Europe, right? He made it to the round of 16. He looked good in the round of 16 as well. So I think for YoDa, there is a legitimate shot if he did well here and then did well in WCS Europe. And me and Sean are touting him to do well in WCS Europe.
Okay, well, what's the difference, Todd, as a player? What's the difference for YoDa this year, considering that his best result is 9th to 16th at DreamHack Valencia, which, no disrespect, wasn't the most stacked of tournaments, and yet here, he is an absolute beast.
I was talking about it with MC. I was asking him, why is YoDa playing so well? And basically, they've been living in the same house. He said that he used to practice a lot with YoDa himself, MC, and he won the game, so he gave some advice to YoDa, and then somehow he started doing better. The same thing happened with Zerg with Hyun. He told me that Hyun basically explained to YoDa how, in particular, how to set his rally points. The high-level Terrans, the rally points is very important for the army to regroup and keep on pressuring the Zerg. And since then, he's been doing a lot better. So already having fixed 2 of his matchups, MC was basically telling me that YoDa had a lot more confidence and just gained a lot of skill overall by practicing with these guys. And ever since, I mean, he's been on a tear. He's been doing so well in every tournament he enters.
Now, we just mentioned earlier on, before the break, that YoDa, of course, has a new team. So does his housemate first. They both move on to TCM, not TSM, as Jared said earlier. It's a bit of a Freudian slip, that one, because that's actually another team.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Jared's true passion was revealed.
It does often get confused, but it is TCM. My old mates Craig and Jim over at TCM. I'm really thrilled that they're involved in StarCraft finally. It's been a long time coming, actually. I should have ribbed them earlier and said, hey, come on, get some StarCraft players in. But they picked up 2 very good players.
Yeah, I was about to say, the thing is about YoDa is, like, as you kind of previously mentioned with him fixing his matchups, when he came to Europe, he didn't really do what everyone was expecting him to do, right? He came there, everyone was like, oh god, this guy YoDa, who was touted as one of the best in Incredible Miracle, to come to the European scene.
Didn't MVP once say that he thought the best player in MVP was YoDa?
Yeah, it was around the time where YoDa actually won his championship. Where he won his championship at the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship. So YoDa now, he's really hitting it hard. He really is hitting it hard. I mean, do you match up with him on the European ladder too much, Todd?
Well, I've been traveling and playing mostly on US server, but when I used to play against him, I played him in WCS, I played him at Tech's place in a tournament, and I lost both times. And I think even then he wasn't playing nearly as well as he is now, which was enough for me, but
he's just solid
enough to beat me. I don't know, he's become so good. Something happened to him, and he's probably practicing with these guys that he lived with that made it happen. And again, as Hyun was saying, now setting his rally points against them are going to be the key. Probably in victory, just making sure he keeps on attacking. You've casted some of his games with Zerg recently, like Did you notice something yourself, maybe?
Nothing flashy. That's the thing. Nothing flashy at all. Just the idea of constantly dropping, constantly being strong, constant presence on the map all the time, really being in his opponent's face, and that really gives him such good presence in any game against a Zerg. And unfortunately, that's got to look out.
And we all like TvZ. I mean, a few people have said to me, "Why do you hate on Zerg so much? You hate Swarm Host, now you hate Roaches." I don't hate Zergs at all. I was a Zerg. I played Zerg. I just, there's a couple of things that pop up that
and now you are
frustrate you. I'm a Terran now.
Okay, exactly. So say no more, Paul.
We'll move on to two other Terrans. The Terran Hit Squad are in the commentary box right now for a TvZ for the ages. Group B is about to get a whole lot hotter.
Does it get hotter here? Is that what he was going with, QXC?
I think he was saying we were more attractive than they are.
Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. We have an awesome match coming up, to say the least. I'm really excited to see YoDa come in and play again, because I had the treaty casting at Battlegrounds, and he's just been awesome.
Yeah, and YoDa, again, like the guys on the couch were saying, looking much stronger in this tournament than he has for a long time, really. And going into the winner's bracket against Leenock. One of Leenock's most recent tournament performances was at the Taiwan Open, where he ended up, oh man, I want to say, he took out some very good players there. Unfortunately, my memory fails me all of a sudden.
I believe he won one of the first matches to eliminate Tasia, if I recall correctly. It was one of the first matches of the whole tournament.
Yeah, that sounds like a thing that happened. We'll go with that.
Yeah, I mean, we know Leenock's good. YoDa, on the other hand, I haven't been able to catch too many of those games that he's been playing in WCS Europe.
The very first match that Leenock played at the Taiwan Open in Taiwan just a few weeks ago was eliminating Tasia 2-0. And so if that is any indication, oh, well, that's not good.
Well, it was just a bug we got
Yeah.
where I assume the game might actually still be going on. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. What were you saying?
That's probably fine. Yeah, well, with a victory over such a dominant player, and that was only about 3 weeks after Tasia had just won Shenzhen, Leenock looking to be in very good form right now.
And we know that Tasia's been looking pretty good as well throughout a lot of this tournament, even, and finishing second place at Battlegrounds Detroit.
Yep.
But it's time to see how good this Zerg player really is, because his opponent has been doing very well. He is our blue Zerg player in the top left of King Sejong Station. Representing Yowie Flash Wolves, he is Leenock.
And Fez is getting really good at that camera manipulation, like moving in.
You like time it with the crowds clapping too? They make it so easy.
All right. And in the bottom right-hand corner, a fallen Terran now resurrected. He is YoDa. All right, let's see. Supply depot at the top of the ramp, so nothing too crazy. Barracks, boom, and we'll probably see a... Well, actually, this is one of the maps that a lot of people are favoring 1-Rax Expand or 15 gas on, in the hopes that you can catch that first Overlord.
Yeah, and he opens with a fast gas, but we've seen it quite a bit. Even just going for the Marine after Reaper to deny a potential scout on this map. Leenock, I think it's safe to say this is a matchup where, unlike ZVZ, you definitely can be a bit more stylistic in your build choices, and as an aggressive Zerg player, I'm expecting to see some form of either Roach Bane or 1-1 Roach at least once in this matchup.
Yep. Leenock, one thing that's kind of interesting is he uses his second Overlord is actually flies straight south, and Fez already highlighted that for us. And this is to check for proxy Reapers, basically. You'd never put proxy barracks with Marine pressure over there, but with that cliff in the back of your main, oftentimes you'll see an 8 barracks or even a 12 barracks going in that position. One thing that's also interesting is by doing that, Leenock's kind of thinking like, you're probably not going to 2-rax me on this map, because he has no drone scout and he has basically no vision in any of the areas where that 2-rax might come from.
Yeah, and we know as observers that YoDa's not doing anything that crazy anyway. He's even setting the SCV before his Reaper comes out just to make sure that there was nothing like a very fast pool with trying to slip lings by, since this is one of those maps where you can use your Overlord sometimes. As you'd mentioned, if that second Overlord goes by the normal path, you can kind of predict where the Reaper will be and then have your Zerglings go the other way.
Right, and we do see everything being completely normal from both players. Leenock hatch first, starts 2 queens. He's going to get... actually, no, not completely normal. Leenock's got 140 gas right now, and he hasn't started speed. So this is an indication he's just started speed now. Oh wait, no, I was looking at the Terran's gas. I was looking at YoDa's gas.
He hasn't started his factory yet because he wanted to squeeze out the Marine after the Reaper.
Yeah. Forget everything I just said. Leenock's playing super standard. The Marine or the Reaper here is going to get pushed back, and now, like you said, the factory has started. The reactor is going to go down, and does get one drone.
Not bad.
Yeah. That's a little.
Some cheers for the poor death of that drone out here. We got some Terran fans, it seems.
They just like to see things die.
Oh, they're
no matter what.
Sadistic. I thought the Canadians are nice, man. Like watching the drones die.
Watch anything die. I bet if somebody killed the Autobot on this map, there'd be tons of cheering.
If they killed the critter, the poor defenseless critter, doesn't even have a weapon.
Doesn't matter. It bleeds. Still bleeds blood.
All right. Second gas was taken by YoDa. Important to note. So it's looking less likely that this would be a full-on 3 command center build.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
More likely to get a very quick starport, or I would say it's crazy second factory, but it is a starport.
Yeah, it's almost certainly going to be some kind of Banshee play. If it was going to be Hellbats, the second... Ooh, 2 Lings go down. Leenock's trying to kind of bait that Reaper out, but speed is not quite done.
It's so close. He could kill it if he steps out, but now he has an opportunity to jump back up his main ramp.
Yeah, he did a good job of does not get it. Reaper gets into the main.
Yeah, he escapes. There's no workers down here to kill. The Marines come with the Hellions, and Leenock is not going to be able to get too much done, but that speed, it's always nice to be able to put on either a little bit of pressure or defend if those Hellions and Reapers try to attack when, the Banshee comes forward, if it is a Banshee.
And he also gets a little bit of information there, just, it would be unusual for those 2 Hellions to not finish at that time, but there is the possibility, and so he kind of confirms, like, yes, you are playing in the way that I expected you to play. The thing for Leenock right now is he has no idea about that Banshee. The Overlord just there that Infez is highlighting for us, the Marines kind of already pushed that out. You can see it's not at full health. And the Overlord at the natural, it doesn't really have a good way to get into the base either. He'll see it long before it gets to that starport. If he moved both Overlords in at the same time, he might be able to get that vision. But Leenock's going to have to play just a little bit more general, a little bit safer, because he doesn't quite know what he's going up against.
Yeah, it's very important to note. We might see him just get spores just in case, because as you see, he doesn't have any lair or anything like that going for him.
Yeah, so
which means he won't be able to get mobile detection like an Overseer.
Right now, the main kind of safety note is that Baneling Nest is timed out before the double evolution chambers. And so that's an expectation at some kind of early pressure, whether that's Marine Hellion Medevac, Hellbats. He's actually preemptively morphing for Banelings. And this is just wrong. And that's not Leenock's fault. He took a guess here.
He just doesn't know.
Yeah, he just doesn't know. And so he's based on what he's seen, he kind of expects a certain thing. Cloak is going to finish in just about 3 seconds here. But that Spore Crawler's not... Oh, yeah, that Spore Crawler's not going to be done.
This Banshee should be able to do some work. Coming in, it's already picked up a couple drones, now targeting down a few more. Nice pickups here for YoDa. 4 isn't a crazy amount, but he's also delayed mining, and this is forcing Leenock to draw his attention away from things that are important, like macroing and getting his tech up.
Yep, and I would say this position very easily favors YoDa right now, and there's 2 main things. One is Leenock was building the Spore Crawlers in reaction to the Banshee. That means there's automatically some drone kills, and there's also a bit of a victory in terms of my opponent expected me to do one thing, and I didn't do it. And so Leenock is now going to be thinking just a little bit slower because the game's not going exactly as he expected to. And the other thing is because he went Evolution Chambers before Lair, his mobile detection is going to be very late, and these Banshees should be able to get a number more kills. You can see the drones are already going back into the main because he simply cannot control the area between his natural and his third.
And without creep spread between even his main base and his natural, the Queens have a hard time bouncing between those. And because of this, the Banshee's getting in around this much. He gets also all the scouting information that a scan could give you, knowing when the lair is going to finish. Like, well, if I can see his lair is morphing at 10 minutes, I don't have to worry about Mutalisks for a very long time, which means I don't need missile turrets. He could take his third base more freely, but he's actually just ramped up a lot of production as well.
Yep. And the upgrades, the advantage for Leenock, of course, will be in those upgrades. They're timed out to be about a minute faster than YoDa's, perhaps a little bit more. It's hard to judge exactly from those progress bars. But he's got so much counter pressure in this. Oh, Leenock's actually moving out with a large amount of speedlings right now, and he's actually... Oh,
these Hellions, he really doesn't want to lose these. That armor will be done soon, and then he'll be able to turn those into Hellbats, which will give his army just a little bit more pow.
It's kind of a thing. Since that armory change, the Hellions all of a sudden have this weird extra utility. It's like a lot of the times people would just trade them off once they had that standing Marine medevac force. Yeah, because they didn't really do anything. But now you want to keep them alive as much as possible because the first 2 medevacs with a group of Marines supported by 6 Hellbats.
That's a damn strong force.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot harder to deal with. And Leenock is actually got to the point where he's just producing Lings. He's got 3 base saturation, so he no longer needs to make drones.
I like this run by the Zerglings going towards the south. He wants to catch this 3rd base off guard, and there's not really too much here. Just 2 Marines in a bunker, which a good surround would stop. He's actually going to go for the natural instead, which is a bit more well protected.
Yep.
And these rocks are basically saying, no, you can't go here. Even killing a few SCVs, this is already nice for Leenock.
Yeah, Leenock getting a little bit of counter pressure here. The Banshees in the main finally do die, but there were a number of drones killed by that.
And these Lings are stuck.
Yep, they're stuck. They're a sacrifice. Oh, nope, they're not stuck. They're pretty fast.
He does kill most of them. These Lings actually go in. I mean, he's like, you let him in. He's like, okay, this is the containment chamber. Welcome. You don't get anything else done here. And he still grabs an SCV or 2.
So, in terms of workers lost right now,
it pulls YoDa's army back, I think, which is the most important part because this is where you want to stop the creep spread, but also you want to hit that 4th base. And now all the Banelings are about to finish. Mutalisks are on the way. This is still a very difficult force to stop if YoDa gets good splits because, as we can see, there's no creep spread south of this hatchery. He still has an opportunity, and I don't want to just say opportunity, but in Tyrann versus Zerg, you almost really have to put on a lot of pressure at where this 4th base is or kill all the creep.
Right. The creep spread, when you're on creep, Zerg has the advantage. When you're off creep, Terran has the advantage. And that's assuming all else to be equal. This position right now, YoDa with a nice supply lead. And the Mutas are going to come in here, but this fight, if he wants to hold this 4th base, it's going to be off creep, and that gives YoDa a lot of potential here.
Yeah, I like this spread out, keeping a couple Hellbats in front. You know, even though they're classified as light units and the Banelings deal extra damage, they still have a lot of hit points. So this 4th hatchery is as good as dead because, as you said, Leenock knows better than to try to take a fight off creep, but this counterattack simply shut down.
Yep. YoDa doing a really good job here of not committing more forces to the fight than he needs to. He committed enough forces to that 4th base to take it out, and then instead of rallying everything across the map, he leaves some units at home. He's like I already took out your 4th. I already control this position uncontested. I do not need additional units to do that. What I need to do is consolidate my position. And you can see he's doing that now by continuing to rally units into his natural while maneuvering around the map a little bit, reducing the creep spread.
It's so smart. Terran versus Zerg, I feel like rally points are like such an important part of this game because you want to constantly produce units, but if you rally to your army and a Zergling counterattack like that happens, you can lose a ton of forces for free. And these Mutalisks, be a little bit careful where they want to go.
Yep.
But YoDa's got so much of the rest of this game already rolling through his head. Another big attack's about to hit his 3rd base, but I love that he has a throw on the way. His 2-2's almost done. He's getting drilling claws. And this supply depot wall uses a lot of the Banelings that were with this force.
Yeah, and that's not too bad for Leenock, but the Lings need to get out here. YoDa, again, he's just rallied so many units at home.
Is he going to try to pull him back? Oh, great
YoDa
scan.
actually noticed it, so that's
smart move.
Yep, paying a lot of attention there, and now Leenock's going to try and capitalize on the position with these Mutas. But
3 turrets.
Yeah, YoDa just knows how to stabilize his position so well.
YoDa's just really solid. He hasn't done anything particularly fancy in this game yet, but everything has been really patient, really thoughtful. You have a Zerg player on 3 bases. There's not really much else you need to do right now as YoDa other than keep him on 3 bases as long as you can, take your 4th base, and most importantly, I would say for the end of the game, stop the creep spread, which he's done a great job of. It hasn't passed the halfway point of this map at any point.
Yeah, and a big part of that came out of the opening that YoDa chose to do. With the early Banshees, he's going to force, basically the Queens can't move out. They can't put those extra new tumors down. That makes it very hard because of that pressure. But it looks like a big run by here. YoDa has kind of lost track of Leenock's army, and he's going to be able to get in here. The Widow Mine does hit one Mutalist, but not too much damage done, and YoDa is going to have to come back home. There's a lot of units at his 3rd right now.
Yeah, trying to focus down that orbital command. He's bringing over the Widow Mines as well. SCVs are repairing. I think he should be able to save this now that the Thor is here, but as long as there's still workers repairing underneath, he should be fine.
Yep. So the 3rd command center does stay alive, but YoDa's lost a lot of...
He's going to bounce into the main.
Yep, and YoDa's defenses here are not quite as good as they were in the natural. Actually, he could leave these turrets and just deny mining at the bottom of the space, kill some supply depots, things like that. And
those engineering bays are pretty exposed. Like, that's to be like a really nice target to get, but YoDa bought enough time with that missile turrets. Drops the top right side. Of course, this is that 4th base that Leenock desperately needs.
Yep.
and he's going to defend it for now. So the base finishes up, but you know, an 18-minute fourth, there's not too many Zergs that would be happy with that.
Right. The thing for Leenock right now is YoDa's down to only 53 SCVs, and that's going to make it hard for him to actually really use the fourth base. You know, the main isn't even mined out. Like, he's got a fourth command center, but he may end up kind of hurting himself at this point in the game because he's spending 550 minerals, CC plus planetary plus turrets, and he can't really saturate it at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting situation. I guess at the very least, once his main does mine out, he of course can just move over there.
Right.
He can drop his mules there to get his money up faster. But I don't think it matters too much when you have other mineral patches available.
Right. A fourth base this early is a way to solidify his position in the next couple of minutes, but it's not really increasing his income in any meaningful way right now.
And he's got a nice little bit of security lined up. What's really important is the 3-3 about to finish up. The infestation pit has only just started, so we're very far away from a hive, which means very far away from any +3 upgrades, and most importantly, some of those more powerful units that can deal with large numbers of Marines, like Ultralisk.
Here we go.
Trying to hit for both sides. Leenock steps in. There are a lot of Banelings. The Thor targeting down those Mutalisks, but he has enough forces to clean this up, and he picks up one of the Thors to retreat with, but he does have the planetary to at least try to fall back on.
Yep. And Leenock did a really good job here of actually taking his whole army and pushing it to the front, but he may be overextending just a little bit here. The turret's doing a lot of damage. Some Mutalisks do go down, but Leenock has to back up. Scans does not even get caught by those Banelings.
I was going to say, that's a great time to burrow, but then YoDa's just paying really good attention to everything that's happening. Now the hive begins too.
Yeah, the hive just started. +1 carapace for Mutalisk has started. I don't think it's called carapace. It's called something though. +1. Oh, it is called carapace. All right, cool. Interesting. So anyway, Sensor Tower is going to give YoDa a ton of control in the center of the map. That makes it really hard. Like, basically, any run-bys that go to YoDa's third now have to go around the Watchtower, which is going to increase the travel time pretty significantly. Lings, of course, being very fast. And YoDa, again, what keeps happening is he's losing track of the map. He's losing map control and map awareness, and that's allowing Leenock to set up these counterattacks.
That flank was so beautiful in the last fight because YoDa will max out again. Sure, he's a little bit ahead in supply, but if we look at the bank of Leenock, if YoDa takes another bad fight, he's almost out of the game because he's going to have very few resources to fall back on since his main had naturally mined out. So now he is going to move over towards this third base. The bunker is very nice. Without Banelings, it's a bit harder to crack, but he's still focusing down the workers and trying to delay that economy, prevent YoDa from building a bank and being able to comfortably max out.
Yeah, and the Ling Muta run by here, it's all about using the Lings to break the position. The Mutas are what are really doing the most amount of damage. As soon as the turrets are down, the Mutas are so mobile, so flexible, you can bounce them from base to base, and YoDa's going to have a very hard time actually moving out right now with these Mutas, able to go back from the main, back to the third, back and forth, back and forth.
We're seeing another big move out from YoDa. He's ahead in supply, but Leenock's been saving some money. Of course, he wants to switch into Ultras, which is why he doesn't want to spend his resources.
He's going to have to spend it, though.
Yeah, he needs to spend. He needs to just get Lings and Banelings out. He doesn't have time for Ultras because even if he were to crank out a few, without +3 armor, without chitinous plating, they will actually just die very, very quickly to the Marines.
Yeah. As soon as chitinous finishes, those Ultralisks become much more effective. Especially YoDa has a very low Marauder count. He does have those 2 Thors, which are a great boon to him, but I don't think he's really going to have time to make Ultras. If he loses this fourth base, his economy is going to be too weak to continue, and Leenock's actually moving in.
You know, I really like keeping the Marauders up front with the Thors because the Thors will automatically target Mutalisks to try to pick out the Marauders, and the Marauders simply aren't vulnerable to the Banelings. So he comes in once again. Now that this time there are a few Marines up here, but the majority of them still intact. He's pushing on this fourth base. He needs to be careful, though. He's stepping on creep, and there's still quite a few Banelings left, but I don't think YoDa cares as long as this fourth isn't mining.
Right, and he's actually evacuated the fourth. Basically what Leenock is playing for now is he's giving up his current economy in order to play for a major battle as soon as his Ultralisks come out. He's going to use that to restabilize. And actually YoDa overestimated the forces there. I don't know if he was attacking Larva or something, but the fourth does not go down, and YoDa's now coming back. We're going to watch this Ultralisk get closer to this fight.
I mean, YoDa's priority should be kill this hatchery and get the hell out, start cranking out maybe a few more Marauders. He sees the first Ultralisk, and it doesn't have all the upgrades it needs, so it dies very quickly.
Yeah, and at this point, it's getting, the supply disparity is getting so big. Some infestors are coming out, but YoDa has over 30 supply more in his army than Leenock.
Whoa, Greater Spire on the way, so Leenock with the Infestors, you know, they're great for locking down Bios so that Ultralisks can get on top of them since they kill Marines very quickly with that +3 armor and with the chitinous plating. But this also gives them an interesting segue into Infestor Broodlord, which YoDa does not have the current infrastructure to deal with.
Yeah, but Leenock really doesn't have the economy. Yeah, he doesn't have the economy to make a Greater Spire work. If you imagine, let's say Leenock wants minimum 4 Broodlords. It's 150 minerals per Corruptor, and then it's another 150 minerals-ish per Broodlord. So you're looking at over 1,000 minerals and several hundred gas just to make 4 Broodlords. 4 Broodlords aren't going to do a whole lot.
With this many Marines, you can almost just stim right through them. You have enough firepower.
And if you consider that the Greater Spire is also another 200 gas, 200 minerals, it seems like the decision to go Greater Spire makes a lot more sense if he still had the 4th, but YoDa should be able to just overwhelm him with pure numbers. The unit composition isn't going to be as effective as just an extra 40 or 50 supply, which is going to happen if this fight occurs in the next couple of minutes.
And it's a very tense moment. You said it, QXC. 4 Broodlords. That is the magic number for this game. He has them on the way. I do like them to trigger at least the Widow Mines, get the Marines a little bit more distracted, but the problem is he just doesn't have enough of the units that he wants. Right. I still think a couple solid Fungals, maybe if the Ultralisks can tank some damage and those Banelings kill the Marines, at least all the Marines, then Leenock kind of feels a little bit better. But now the scan, he sees
knows
everything.
There are Broodlords. YoDa's actually going to... This is probably the only way that YoDa could lose right now is to have his entire army bunched up and fungled, but he just has so much supply at the moment. The Ultralisks can't even get close because the Thors are doing so much damage.
Yeah, I mean, the Marauders are up front. He's trying to pull the Bio back. The Banelings are going to crash into the Thors. That's not quite going to cut it, QXC. And even though YoDa will trade out a lot of his resources, look at the production tab. Leenock, he's broke. Maybe he can build a couple more Ultralisks. Maybe he wants to put out 20, 30 more Zerglings. Right. But outside of that, YoDa's just going to keep cranking out Thors, Marines, and Marauders all day. GG. First game going to our Terran player.
And...
That was a really straightforward game from YoDa.
Yeah, very well played. I think Leenock got a little unlucky at the beginning, guessing wrong, made the early Baneling nest, made 4 Banelings, the late layer, and that all translated into basically no creep spread at the 4th. The no creep spread at the 4th meant that YoDa's very first attack was going to be at Leenock's 4th off of creep. And that means that it's going to be an incredibly difficult engagement for Leenock to take efficiently. We saw he was able to defeat that army kind of once, kind of twice, but he wasn't economically strong enough to actually carry that into an actual advantage. Like, he kills the army, but he loses so much doing it that it's not really a victory.
Yeah, I think a very good point you make is about the lair timing, especially because without an Overseer, you Queens, I guess you said, you don't want to move them out against Cloak Banshees since they'll just die.
Right.
But on top of that, the Baneling nest, the gas it requires, 50 gas, doesn't seem like a lot. The 4 Banelings, each of those is 25. And suddenly, you have a little bit of extra gas if you had just gotten your lair and built the Spore Crawlers. You have your lair faster, which means you get Overseers faster. You can try to spread creep. Of course, it's a lot easier to look at this in hindsight because if it was some sort of 3 racks, Marine push off 2 bases, and you build 3 Spores, you're just dead.
Yeah, I mean, so the Banelings, I think Leenock was expecting Hellbats. That was kind of what I gander based on the early Baneling timing, the kind of large amount of lings that he had, the queen positioning, but was not what he expected, did not commit enough to really make the scouting happen the way he wanted to. And you can still spread creep against Banshees, but you have to get the tumors spread in like multiple directions. You have to be spreading creep in like 3 or 4 directions, and the creep spread has to be far enough away from your base that the Banshees can't control your base and control your creep spread at the same time.
It's really important as a Zerg player to have just enough vision to hold these kinds of plays off, but when you can't get vision, when you can't get scouting, life gets rough, guys. Of course, this is the winner's match of our second group here that we're looking at for the Intel Extreme Masters Toronto. Winner is going to go to the quarterfinals of the entire tournament, and this guy needs to win 2 games to advance on. He is our blue Zerg player in the south position of merry-go-round, representing Yowie Flash Wolves. He is Leenock.
And he's now up 1-0, showing some phenomenal play in that last game. He is YoDa! Merry-go-round. Often we see roaches on this map or various early timings. Yeah. There's a pretty large ramp into the natural that makes it a bit harder for Terran to wall off. Sometimes we do see Nidus on the map because of the large main.
Yeah, I agree there. This is one of those maps where the aggressive plays come out a lot more. The first thing I'm like looking at is like, is he going to move an SCV out early on? Whenever I think of this map, when I think about Terran versus Zerg, I always think about Maru, who 2-raxes.
2-raxes.
Literally every single game he plays in this map against Zerg. Without exception. I tune in, I'm like, I can't wait to watch some good Terran play, and then half the Koreans will always 2-rax on this map. I've even seen Pult 2-rax on this map, and he doesn't even 2-rax.
I don't know what it is about merry-go-round that draws. It brings the 2-raxes to it, like the claws.
Yeah, man. It's just some sort of gravity towards aggression. I think, you make a good point. Perhaps maybe Terran players don't feel as comfortable going up against those big, fast, aggressive plays when mostly we as Terrans like to get fast third command centers, but this map doesn't really like fast third bases when you're up against any sort of aggression. And I think, like you said earlier, roach plays are extremely popular, and I'm still holding out for it. I'm expecting to see a roach play in this series out of Leenock.
Yeah, that last game he played pretty defensive, but for anybody who's watched a lot of Leenock's play, defensive is not really his name.
It's not a style at all.
Yeah, he just always attacks. He just always, like, I was so surprised to see him go the Baneling Nest. I was like, oh, he's gonna all in, like typical Leenock, and then he just made 4 Banelings and defended, and then he got double upgrades. I was like, I don't know who this is. What are we watching? This can't be Leenock.
Well, YoDa showed that he has a very strong, I'd say, understanding of how to just play this matchup out regularly.
Yep.
He's open with the Reaper into the fast Marine. This map, you can't really tuck Overlords in anywhere except that spot outside the natural. He's going to try to slip in through here so he can see the command center, which is nice, but that one Marine is going to get working on him, and it's going to make it very difficult for Leenock to get any mid-game follow-up scouts, because this Reaper actually gets straight over to his base too.
Yep, and the Reaper's in now. The Lings do go out. One Ling does not quite go down, and the second Ling takes a bit of damage. The Queen's going to pop out in a moment here. Oh, one Ling dies.
Yeah, he's getting a little bit of work done. It's also nice that he can scalp that the spawning pool is, doing a little wiggle, so he knows that Zergling speed is on the way, which means that you don't want to be out on the map all by yourself when there's speedlings about.
The spawning pool dance club is exclusive, no Reapers allowed, and the Reaper is actually going straight home because there are Lings in his natural, and they're gonna kill that SCV.
That's a nice little juke play to get around the Reaper there.
Yep.
You mentioned this before. It doesn't seem like a huge deal. Yeah, it's just one worker, and the Reaper technically has killed more resources worth than those Zerglings did. But you delay the expansion, that can mess up, as you said, your supply depot timings. Yep. I always get supply, like, even if I lose it, I don't realize that 30 seconds have gone by. I'm like, why can't I build my first 2 Hellions?
Yeah, and you can see right now, YoDa cannot build Hellions because, and this is all because that SCV in the natural died. If that SCV was done, hadn't been interrupted, he would have been able to start his 2 Hellions right away. And actually, Leenock knows now. He's got into the base with that Overlord, tucked away. YoDa wasn't able to intercept it in time. He sees the tech lab, he sees the starport, and I think with it being scouted, YoDa may just go for a medevac or an early Viking. He's not going to commit to the Banshee.
That Overlord got away with 1 hit point too. He's a survivor.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure it's possible to get him.
Yeah,
no?
I think if he goes around,
there's no way he's tucked in that nicely.
Yeah, no, the Marine's gonna go. He's like, all right, I'm gonna stay up here. You just go into the. Okay, I think everyone forgot about that Overlord, or like YoDa doesn't. I have no idea why he's not killing that Overlord.
Yeah, I mean.
Anyway, he's going to wait for the Viking. He's like...
That'll do it.
Yeah,
the other flying unit will take care of that Overlord.
The Marines are like, all right, we've done enough here. Our work is done. We'll let the Viking clean it up. Oh, nope. The Marine's just going to... Oh, no, he's still not going to...
He still can't get it.
He's just hanging out.
So he's got his Hellions and his Reaper kind of just whacking away at that third base.
Hey,
Good
night. All right.
The Overlord led a very ambitious life. It wasn't meant to be.
Why is he getting double upgrades? I thought Leenock was going to attack him.
He just wants to grind it out, it seems.
Yeah.
Last time I saw Leenock play, he was doing some crazy aggressive builds at MLG Anaheim, at least versus Terran players. So.
Yeah, like Roach Bane. Really early Ling style, like 1-1 Roach. Lots of very early aggression, but against YoDa, he's just double upgrades and let's let 4 Hellions run into my natural.
He doesn't really have much in the way of dealing with this. No Zerglings at all, and drones. Drones are going to burn QXC, picking off already, I think, quite a few, and these Hellions still have a lot of hit points left.
Yep, and right now another couple of drones go down. Leenock at least made a lot of drones, so if he loses some, he's still got a bit of an advantage, but workers lost, man. 11 workers killed. That's too many. There's really no reason for that to happen.
Yeah, it's a really nice pickoff for YoDa. He has to spend his larva and his money on getting those more drones out. He still doesn't have any map control because there's not a crazy amount of Zerglings out on the map.
Yep.
He's going to run these 2 up. He's going to be like, yes, I'm building Marines. This is a very standard build.
Well, he saw the third.
Crazy.
He saw the third. So he knows that he can drone up pretty confidently. He doesn't have to worry about Hellbat timing, big stem, an early stem push, which is often what you would see as a follow-up to this Viking. And actually, even with those drones that are killed, I think Leenock is still he's in a very solid economic position.
Yeah, I really like the upgrade spot as well, because that makes any fast push that YoDa does, especially if he hits before his 1-1 completes,
yep,
a little bit more tricky to be cost effective with.
Yeah, and I think what kind of happened here is YoDa was probably planning to go Banshee again. It got scouted, but he was already on 2 gas.
And a starport.
Right, and the starport, you're like, okay, I'll make a Viking and that's fine. But the 2 gas, you end up with just this like big influx of gas that's delaying your 3rd command center, it's delaying your additional barracks, it's delaying basically anything you would want to do if you're not going to actually put it into the Banshee and Cloak or Medevac and Armory or something like that.
Yeah, YoDa's going to take his 3rd base. You make a really good point. Leenock has spent his gas very quickly. He's gone straight into those 2-2 upgrades. And because of that Hellion play that he did earlier, that he traded for those drones, he doesn't quite have the same level of firepower, I feel, when his armory finishes up. And surprisingly, he is still building Hellions.
And those are going to die. Well, I think YoDa... Didn't he go Hellbats in the last game? Wasn't that?
I mean, he had a good mix, I think, between Widow Mines and Hellbats. I'm just surprised he's still building them out as Hellions.
Sure. Well, the armory's not quite done here, and of course he can transform them at any time. 2-2 is started for Leenock, and Leenock is just he's just got a very solid control of this game, and
I think he's bounced back very nicely. Pushing that 3rd base away is always really nice. And look how many units he's building. There's a lot of Banelings on the way too.
Oh no, he's backing up. YoDa with the Banelings?
Yeah, I thought he had a lot of Banelings for some reason. Okay, now there they are.
Wow. Nathanias can actually look into the future.
I had a premonition of a lot of Banelings being made. My eyes deceived me.
Soon, Leenock will make many Banelings.
This 3rd base being lifted up, it doesn't seem like he's losing a lot because he hasn't put workers there yet for the Zerglings to kill. But every second that's not there, that he's not mining, he has a lower income than his opponent. As nice as mules are, they're not going to make up for a whole base advantage.
Especially when you're building extra SCVs in preparation to take that 3rd. And, well, this is a little strange because YoDa's total worker count is actually set up for 2 bases. He's only at 48. So that's... Even if the 3rd lands, he has no SCVs to transfer to it, and...
Terran doesn't really beat Zerg with 2 base versus 3 base.
Well, so the thing here now is that Leenock committed so much to these Banelings.
He did slow his tech down. Does he even have a... Yeah, he doesn't have a Spire.
Yep. So he's going to have 2-2, but he's just now getting his gases. Leenock's going for a very heavy, aggressive ground style. You can see he has a ton of Lings at home, and he's also got a lot of Lings and Banes on the map, and that's basically just to deny YoDa's 3rd, but YoDa's recognized this threat, and so he's just sitting on 2 bases. He's like, all right, well, obviously you didn't drone a 4th, so I'm gonna hang back. And Leenock with a huge amount of units here. He's gonna move up the ramp right here.
Widow Mines do take a couple of shots, but there's still some Banelings with this army. Overseer tanks one of the shots, which is really nice. The Zerglings for Leenock get on top of everything. He's in the mineral line of the natural. He's moving up, trying to get into the main base. And QXC, I think once he gets up into the main, onto this production, that's pretty much it. Yeah, and he hit at such a nice timing. 2-2 is just about to complete for YoDa, but it's not there yet.
Yeah, and that makes a huge difference in these fights. GG! Leenock ties up the series 1-1. We're going to the 3rd game.
That was a nice play by Leenock.
Yeah.
As a Terran player, I find myself in a situation sometimes where you feel like there's some Zergling pressure coming at your third base, and you're like, okay, well, I'll lift it up now. And it's still very easy to have your army out by your third and think he's not going to commit to a big attack.
Right.
But recognizing something like you pointed out, there's no Spire, the gas is only going to go one way, and that's towards those Banelings.
Yeah, and when YoDa was kind of planning to move out, he could see all these Lings being rallied across the map, and it's like, there's only one thing that this is going to be. If he had tried to hold his third, it would have been even more of a disaster, but I think it mostly started with that early scout, and then YoDa's transition did not put him in a position where he could, like, do anything. You know, double gas, fast starport, then he makes one Viking and gets 2 Overlord kills.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, that is not enough to compensate. And it makes sense that he would change what he wants to do because it got scouted, but the transition needed to be something else.
A little bit smoother, maybe.
Yeah, like just something that... So if he wanted to go for that fast third command center, he's like, all right, I'm going to make one Viking, I'm not going to make any medevacs, and I'm going to go third CC double eBay. Then it's time to take SCVs off gas and optimize for that transition. And if you're going to keep the SCVs on gas, you got to do something with it. And that was basically what ended up allowing Leenock to get such a solid hold on that game. His third base was so much earlier than YoDa's, and even with those 10 drones lost, didn't even matter. Leenock was still up like 16 workers because he basically had no reason to make any units. There was no pressure. He was ready for the potential of the starport. Didn't really get supply block because he was pre-building extra overlords. He knew he'd lose 1 or 2. Pulled the other overlords back to his base, and it's just so interesting. The scouting makes such a big difference because that game could have very easily gone like Sejong.
Yeah, it's really crazy because that's just not a map that people are known for being able to get a lot of scouting done on.
Yep.
Nice play by Leenock. The next map, we've seen this map pop up more and more in this matchup, Foxtrot Labs. Do you have any thoughts on it as we jump into game number 3?
Well, it's all going to depend on the spawning position. So it's a 4-player map, but there's 2 distinct set of spawns because you can only spawn cross from your opponent. In this particular configuration, the gold base is relatively inaccessible.
All right, I'll take it. So we'll have to see. We might get a bit more of a standard game. Still a lot of space to attack on this map. And our player in the bottom left position who just tied the series up 1-1 wants to go to the quarterfinal. He is Yoey Flash Wolves Leenock.
All right. I'm going to try starting the clapping. Let's do it. In the top right-hand corner, he just lost 1 game on merry-go-round. Can he bring it back? It is YoDa!
Yeah, say shout out to our observer in Fezza for doing a good job keeping.
He has got to have practiced that.
Yeah, he's the guy that's been bringing you all the in-game camera footage so that you can see everything that's happening when we get distracted with beautiful things like drones dying to Reapers.
So some people stare at themselves in the mirror and they kind of do their hair. Maybe they fix their eyelashes or whatever. I don't really know. In Fezza, I swear he must just sit at a computer and he's just like, I'm gonna make this so beautiful. I'm gonna make this zoom in.
Just watches StarCraft very intently.
He practices his zooming in. Look at that. Oh, thank you.
That's a great view of the base. Usually don't get that look. This is behind the scenes. And look at this. We're getting another view of StarCraft here.
I'm so glad that this is happening.
It wouldn't be Leenock if we didn't have something awkward, something weird, unusual.
Well, the first 2 games he goes like the most normal thing in the world, just double evo chambers, defensive play. And now we're seeing the true Leenocktopus appear. It has reared its head.
YoDa's opening up once again with a Reaper, but this Reaper, I mean, if he checks his natural at all, he's basically be walking out of his front door. He's like, why is there a hatchery building in my driveway? Like, what is this? Supposed to be somewhere else?
In my driveway.
He was expecting the hatchery to be at Leenock's space. Like, this is a more normal place for you to be, not right in front of mine.
YoDa's going to get out of his base. He's like, yo, get off my lawn. This is my house.
There might be a lot of creep tumors on his lawn. That'll be quite difficult to clean up if Leenock's allowed to get away with this, but the simple fact of the matter is YoDa has no idea this is happening.
Yeah, and he won't. He may not actually know. Oh, no,
he catches a glimpse. So now he knows what's up. I feel like it's always difficult to get anything done when you try to send a Reaper across immediately because they're still going to build a few Lings at home. And like most normal games, you don't kill a lot unless your opponent makes a big mistake, and then suddenly it's a bit easier to set these set up a queen at YoDa's base, which ideally is what Leenock wants to do. Spread creep tumors, make it impossible for YoDa to take his expansion, and potentially follow up with something like this Zergling speed and go for a big attack.
And I think here the Reaper across the map, the intention is not really to do damage. It should be just to get information. But whether or not that's really what he needs to do is very hard to gauge right now. It's such an unusual position. But as soon as this queen comes out, he's not really going to be able to do more damage. Drones are actually being made at the driveway hatchery right now.
And I think it's really important that YoDa has seen the spawning pool, and I hope he's taking
he's
note.
mining? Oh, no. He's making spine crawlers.
I think it's really important that he noted that there was gas on the way, though, because this is something that we could say, if there's no gas, it's very Cats-esque, where you can commit a lot to this, but you don't necessarily have to. If you open speed with this, you're hoping to use these 2 spine crawlers with an overlord that's coming very close now. You want to basically just have the spine crawlers attack, kill one of the supply depots, break down the wall enough that you can just flood Zerglings in and just crush your opponent since they won't have a wall. But that's something YoDa needs to keep in mind because it's a very real threat.
Right. And perhaps what he needs at this point is actually a siege tank to keep the spine crawlers at bay. Yeah, and the siege tank just starts now. Another option is kind of Marauders, and I say kind of. Oh, wait. Well, we'll
pause.
He took off his headphones, so we'll talk about things not pertaining to this game, as there's a lot of hidden information right now.
We could talk about how awesome this crowd is. It's always an option. There's a lot of people here. I think it's been cool. This has been a cool event. This is my first time actually exploring Canada at all. I've been here for like 5 days. It's been really chill.
Yeah, I got here, what was it, on Monday? Yeah, I got here on Monday, coming straight from Detroit. Let me tell you, the difference was stark. For anybody who's been to Detroit, Toronto is a level above it, 10 levels above it, magnitudes above it. Really love being here. What a nice city. We've gone to Chinatown. We've gone to Koreatown. If you ever, so I spent most of my time with Stardust, and you ever hang out with a Korean, man, all you eat is Korean food. And he knows. He's like, he was searching online for like 20 minutes. I'm like, Stardust, what are you doing? He's like, he's got a list of restaurants that have been recommended. He's like, we're going here. QXE, take me here.
It's the best thing about big cities like this, so you can find a little something for everybody. It's been really neat. You tried any Canadian only delicacies you can't get back in the States?
I've been to Tim Hortons, actually.
It was good. It was the #1 recommended thing that every single Canadian told me about. I was not disappointed.
So far, my Canadian experiences have been Tim Hortons. I got some Timbits, and they gave us like 6 extras. We came in. I was like, Kane showed me the place. He's like, all right, you're gonna eat these. I was like, okay, whatever you say, Kane. And we're talking to the cashier. I'm like, yeah, I'm from America. He's from Korea. Stardust was with us, and he's like, oh, foreigners. He gives us like 6 more. I'm like, all right, here we go. And I also had pizza, which was surprisingly good. I'm a pretty healthy guy. I don't really like pizza in general, but that is some of the best pizza I've ever had.
I'd say the Canadian experience has certainly not disappointed. Of course, we're just trying to make sure everything is all right with Leenock's setup before we go back into the game. And as you said, if the headset's off, we don't want to talk about anything pertaining to the game.
Yeah. Well, I was kind of joking. Like, I don't think there's really any hidden information at all in this game. Like, what does YoDa really not know? You know, he's like, well, there are spy crawlers by natural, and he's seen the bunker. There's a lot of stuff, but. Better safe than sorry. Don't want to have any kind of issues with that.
Look at this awesome crowd. There's so many people here. It's pretty awesome.
That's a zombie.
There is a zombie in the crowd.
There's a Team Liquid zombie. And this guy, he really wants to be in that shot. You should just follow the camera. Stay in that shot. GG
ACC. Oh, yes. Is that Rifkin? That's one of the base trade TV Twitch emotes.
Tempo's got his...
Tempo with the tiger hat?
Yeah, he's got a tiger on his head. And he's got his stim shirt on. Stim. That's all I do. Yeah. There you go. Any of you big fans of Tempo? Yeah? I'm a big fan. I love Tempo songs. Really brings a unique perspective to the StarCraft community.
Yeah, he's cool. He was hanging out with us in Detroit. We've been traveling through. Been a lot of North American events recently. It's been pretty cool to see. Although I will say I'm quite happy we've come to Toronto. It's been quite nice.
Yeah.
It's been quite nice.
Yeah, it's been it's been quite nice. And the internet cafe, so me and Kane and Stardust, we were kind of exploring the city. We checked out a couple internet cafes. One was like, everybody there was probably at least 50. And I was like, can we play StarCraft here? And he's like, yeah, sure. And we like sat down. The internet was terrible, so we left. We went to another place. It was like, everybody was under 16. Everybody spoke Chinese. And we tried playing StarCraft there, and like the computers weren't good enough. Everybody was playing League of Legends. We finally made our way up to Net Effect, and they really took care of us. And actually, we're ready to go.
All right.
Back to it.
Back to the game. I have a strange feeling a lot of people in this crowd probably want to watch some StarCraft. So as we can see that we were in the beautiful moment of this spine crawler planting itself next to the main ramp of YoDa, which is not a sentence I get to say very often.
And this first supply depot is going to get sieged out by the spine crawlers. Can it attack the SCVs?
Oh, I think it's just barely.
The second one should be close enough. The Queen's actually going to get out, but with the siege tank in position, he should be able to stop these spine crawlers from sieging out. And I think Leenock's going to have to back up here. Instead of playing to break YoDa now, he needs to play to contain him. Making extra creep tumors in his natural is going to make it very hard for him to reclaim his natural.
Look at these Reapers trying to poke away at these drones. He's forced him to send his workers out of the base, and I'm trying to see, I don't think, okay, there's one creep tumor here, and all this Queen basically wants to do now is just plant creep tumors. As long as you can keep them outside the radius of a single scan, you're really going to hurt the Terran economy with this.
And one other thing is, when he tries to retake his natural, he's going to have a relatively small fighting force. If he can increase the number of creep tumors by so much that he actually can't clear them with a single scan, that's also going to delay all of this. And at this point, Leenock he's recognized, like, it's time to go home. The Queen is going to go down. Oh, is the Queen going to go down? Queen goes down.
The Reaper gives his life, but does kill the Queen.
Yeah.
And now the siege tanks are going to move down the ramp slowly.
Yeah.
And he's going to start Hellion production, and I would imagine Stim.
Yeah, and Leenock natural is up and running and fully saturated. Leenock with a tremendous mineral advantage at this point because YoDa was forced to go into siege tanks. His command center timing was a little bit off. And now the problem with siege tanks is he has really no aggressive opportunities. Siege tanks are just awful at attacking this early in the game. You need a lot of them, and you need a lot of support.
Yeah, the thing is as strong as they are, once you start to move them down that ramp into the open, it's not that hard for Zerglings to just surround them and kill them, which makes the Hellions quite nice. Of course, YoDa went up to 3 command centers during all of this.
That's really weird. A macro third hatch on 2 bases.
And while he's getting his lair, he doesn't have a Baneling nest, so I'm quite perplexed by this, QXC.
So I think we're going to see a Spire in just a moment. And the third hatchery in the natural kind of indicates that perhaps Leenock is a little worried about the early counterattack here. He's not really confident that he can hold his third base, but because he's already at full 2-base saturation, he needs that extra larva. And every tumor except for... he's double scanned, so he takes out every single tumor. I think,
yeah. All of the tumors are now gone, which is very important because even if one of the tumors that wasn't blocking his base or his ramp are left there, he can just slowly spread his way back towards his own base. And it gives you a weirdly efficient way to spread creep.
Oh, and Leenock's going to try and open up these destructible rocks. This map at first spawn is very closed. There's not a lot of ways to get around where YoDa's army now kind of controls most of those areas. So Leenock's going to try and open up some of those areas in order to allow for the counterattack. But Leenock needs to bring these links home. He's not going to be able to hold that fourth hatchery outside at his third base. The siege tanks coming in here.
These tanks, very adventurous.
Tanks are going to siege up. Well, YoDa should kind of recognize that his economy is not really where he wants it to be, and so he needs to get some kind of damage done. Huge amount of links streaming in here. He's going to get a full surround. All the siege tanks go down, and the Hellions are not going to escape from this.
Yeah, it seemed a bit ambitious of YoDa to push out as he tried to take that third base area, and now, of course, he wants to move out and take his natural, but with Mutalisks about to pop, and the production just kicking in for 3 barracks, he still has a lot of ground to cover with, not a lot of units.
Yeah, Leenock is going to force him back onto 1 base, because even though we're at the third base position for YoDa, this is not his third. There's nothing in his natural, because he had to wait for the creep to recede.
Yeah, this is really tough. I mean, it's nice that he put himself on that mineral line like that, but the Zerglings have been taking a couple of nibbles on the left side rocks. They're going to try to finish them off now. And the Mutalisks are about to become a really big problem. Because even if there's missile turrets in the mineral lines, they prevent these Hellions from doing anything. But also, he can start working on the reactors. There's a lot of ways to bounce between the third and the main in this map. So you can use them to kill the rocks.
This is going to function a little bit like the Banshees in the previous area, where he can move back and forth. His opponent doesn't quite have the tech that he needs, and actually he's just going to go for a frontal assault. Can Leenock break YoDa right here?
Oh, the stim is used. The Hellions come up, and with this missile turret, he has a reasonable amount of anti-air. I mean, if the Zerglings can kill everything on the ground, then suddenly this missile turret gets killed. That one Marine, actually, like a champ, holding that choke, prevents the natural from being knocked down. Medivacs, he's going to get one. Going for two, but still sitting on a missile turret.
Oh, yeah, losing 2 Mutalisks here. A third Mutalist does fall right away, and that is a third of the number of Mutalisks he's made at this point, but 7 more Mutalisks on production. Burrow is just finishing now, and YoDa appears to have stabilized on 3 base. As soon as he gets his bases saturated with SCVs, he'll have a similar income to Leenock, but the early part of this game is so telling. He's down 26 supply. Leenock was just able to saturate his bases so much faster than YoDa.
Yeah, there's a couple of weird things going on in this game. The evolution chambers, of course, because of the way that this opened up with so much gas being put into fast mutas, he has very late upgrades, and +1 attack, only +1 attack was finished for YoDa, which does give him a pretty significant advantage against just those straight Zerglings, which helped with that hold. But as we can see, 1 missile turret does not minerals and gas cover. It's not enough.
Ah, I understand the syntax in that sentence now. Here we go with the Mutas flying around and a couple turrets. YoDa's got very good control of his positioning of his turrets here. He's making it hard for Leenock to really get in and get out and get on with his life. But the Mutalisks are going to back off here. 4th hatchery going down, and the creep spread is going to look a lot stronger. By the time YoDa can actually get to that 4th base, he should have to go through at least like a screen of creep. Because Leenock's doing such a good job of pinning him back, the Mutalisks are keeping really good eyes on the Medivacs, making sure that they do not go anywhere unless he allows it.
Yeah, Baneling speed's almost done, which is, of course, very, very important. That 4th hatchery on the way.
Oh, the burrowed Banelings.
YoDa's done a good job of scanning, but those are usually in the heat of the moment. If he doesn't expect it,
right.
I mean, he could... Ideally, what you want to do, of course, is have the Mutalisks just poke a little bit. All the Marines chase, and the Terran's like, I'm going to kill some free Mutas, and then everything dies.
So far, all of the Banelings that YoDa has had to deal with that were burrowed have been Passion Banelings, done, as you said, in the heat of the moment. These are more of the cold, frozen Banelings. The scale. Oh, he knows.
He's a ninja.
The star sense.
I will say I've lost, I think you and I probably both lost our fair share of games walking up ramps without scanning.
Yeah, and it's really just one detonation. It's
one detonation will do it.
Yep. You lose 10 to 15 Marines, and all of a sudden your opponent has an overwhelming army advantage. They force the fight right there. He's just going to burrow 2 more Banelings. I mean, eventually YoDa's not going to...
Leenock's like, he's not going to scan at least once, right? Like, come on.
He's not going to scan this time, is he?
Maybe. You're standing in the danger zone, my friend.
Wow, that was really close. And those Marines are very bunched up right now. Nope, not going to do it that time.
He's trying to...
There's no high ground. Oh, no, he's scanning. YoDa is so scared right now. He's scanning all over the place.
He's keeping my heart rate up just watching him step over these mines.
Did Leenock finish destroying? Yeah, he's finished destroying those rocks. So
he's going to try to swing around. I love this.
Really good counterattack opportunities here. The Widow Mines. Huge detonations on the Lings there.
I think a lot of the counterattack opportunities just went bye-bye. He does have some pre-planted Banelings here.
Here we go.
The bait. No. Oh, God.
Great pickup. Yeah, big amount. And then he scans after. He's like,
well.
At least there's no more Banelings.
He's definitely sure of that. Drop's going to hit the natural expansion of Leenock. 8 Marines tucked behind a mineral line and a spire. Definitely not easy to get to with just Zerglings alone.
He needs some Banelings there in order to really clean that up. But because Leenock was so aggressive with this whole army, like, Medivac does a huge amount of damage. Killed 2 queens, I think. 1 queen, whatever. A bunch of Lings went down. A couple of drones. And more importantly, it forced a lot of units back. So now YoDa is able to get out on the map and set up his own burrowed thing. There's a Widow Mine. Wait. Oh, Fessa, show it. Yep.
Oh,
see? Widow
Mine. Off a Mutalisk.
Told you. Anyway.
I didn't doubt you for a second. Fourth command center is on the way for YoDa.
And he sees that.
Oh, no.
Leenock should have seen that with the... Oh, wow. Nope.
Okay.
Okay, and a little bit of engagement here. The Lings going in, surrounding the Marines, and YoDa's army is a little spread out, preemptively scanning, worried about those Banelings, but Leenock doesn't have any Banelings with this counterattack. He really needed to not fight anything.
Yeah, I mean, Leenock has made some fancy moves in this game, but at some point, when you get a little bit too fancy, and then you start to realize that, yeah, you've taken some cool trades, you've had Banelings be burrowed in cool places, but then you're like, wait, I actually lost a ton of Zerglings, and I don't have an army that can fight what YoDa has, so I just need to dance around with my mutas.
And he hasn't really been spreading creep in the way that I expected him to. The creep on the left side of the map, he never started it from that fourth, and the creep that was out into the center of the map hasn't really been developed. He spent so much time just trying to get YoDa to run over the burrowed Banelings, and it just wasn't happening. And right now, YoDa's got a really good two-pronged attack here.
Yeah, I love that drop behind the natural. These Banelings will come up. They'll clean out a lot of the forces, but that Widow Mine really doing a great job of at least getting something back. And the supply still tilting ever in favor of YoDa. Leenock has some money, but it's going to go straight into Zerglings, and he needs another wave of time to get out Banelings once those finish.
Yep. He needs to... Leenock's been down in supply for a couple of minutes now, but it's weird because he's been up in money. He's sitting at over 900 minerals, almost 1,400 gas, but he's down about 20 supply, and that could easily convert into the army supply that he needs to have a force out on the map. It's going to take out one more Widow Mine. The Queens are being a little more aggressive here about spreading that creep, and Leenock just cleans up that drop, no problem, and now YoDa's actually going to move in here. He's kind of
a lot of these Zerglings are trapped.
Yeah, he's sectioned off the army there, but he's actually going to back up a little bit. Oh, the Widow Mine. The Widow Mines! Oh, the Widow Mine's doing a lot of damage there.
A nice pickup for YoDa, who has secured his fourth base. Leenock has the, once again, Ultralisk Cavern on the way. He has his Pathogen Glands, his +3 upgrades, but YoDa... You know, that's just kind of the way that Terran works. You get your 3-3 a little bit faster. However, he actually did not start his +3 armor, which could end up coming back to haunt him a little bit. Those Zerglings would be more effective than they should.
+3 armor is definitely a very, very important upgrade. And Leenock actually getting Pathogen Glands here, getting ready for that Infestor transition. And he's, again, going for that counterattack. There's nothing really at the third here besides a relatively small group of Marines. But Leenock's going to not... Oh, there's more Marines and a Thor.
He might catch these mutas out of position a little bit. The Thors want to grab them. These Zerglings are going to die either way since there's a planetary fortress here.
Yep, so the fourth is secure. YoDa just has all these positions on lockdown. The Widow Mine's burrowing now, and the Lings are all going to fall. The muta's taking a little bit more damage here, and I think YoDa's recognized that he has control of this game now. There's no more counterattack opportunities. It's time to get out on the map and make something happen.
What is important to note is that there are still as many Banelings as Marines, and YoDa's going to need some good army movement coming forward here. Now down to 37, so he's getting some okay trades. As long as you have some Marines left over, once these Banelings are gone, it's hard to lose a fight.
Yep. And YoDa is forcing the issue before Leenock really wants to. 5 Ultralisks, several Ultralisks on the way, and they are just getting caught. Yeah. The Marines actually cleaning them up, and with so many Thors, even the Ultralisks are not going to make as big of a difference here. But Leenock's coming in with all of his Banelings now. The Infestors trying to land some Fungal Growths. Don't hit them in time, though. The Mutas list coming in. GG! YoDa takes it 2-1.
Very impressive army movement and control towards the end of that game. Dealt fantastically with Leenock's forces. And, you know, we talk about Leenock's run in this tournament. It has been pretty good so far. He's not out, but YoDa has been he's been consistently stepping it up over the last few weeks. And it's really been a treat to see him play because he doesn't do anything overly fancy. He just plays damn solid StarCraft.
Yeah, he's got a very strong mid and late game. Very much thought that it was going to go to Leenock in the early parts of that game. He had a significant supply advantage, huge amount of worker advantage, but Leenock just seemed to always get caught up in trying to make something happen now.
Yeah.
Now. When sometimes what he really needed to do was just go home, consolidate his position, make more drones, spread more creep, make that transition into Hive just a little bit smoother. You only have so much attention, so the more time you spend attacking, the less clean your macro at home is going to be. You're going to be supply blocked a little bit more. Your injects are going to be a little bit worse, things like that.
Yeah, another really important thing that you mentioned was also the drone count. I was trying to keep tabs on it. He took a very fast lead early on. he never really went beyond 70 drones throughout all of the game. So it was interesting in the way that he had enough money to build a lot of lings, but not much to follow it up afterwards. And like you said, he bled out just a few too many resources. So YoDa will be the first player from this group to advance on to the quarterfinals, the Intel Extreme Masters Toronto. And that's been a cool match from him. Let's see what the guys at the couch have to say about that series.
Yes, thank you, Nathan. Back with Todd and Kalaris. Your initial thoughts on that victory? Expected, unexpected? What are you going with?
YoDa has been on fire, man. No big surprise. I thought Leenock would have a good chance if maybe he didn't go that late, you know, he that much into the late game, made something happen before that, and as QXC just said, he was really trying to make something happen, but YoDa overall way too solid to let anything like that happen, like a mid-game attack, somehow surprising him, like blowing up too many units, maybe some SCVs here and there, forcing him in a bad position. So in the end, just solid win overall.
And through to the quarterfinals. YoDa, what we, you know, without any disrespect to him, we're going to have a chat with him in a moment, but he wouldn't, of all the players in the round of 16 and the open bracket for that matter, he might not have been one of those players that stood out for many people.
For me, in this group, he did stand out, again, because he was in with 2 Zergs, luckily having 3 Zergs there as well. That really does help him out, you know, only having that one matchup and constantly just going through that. But again, his TvZ is just impeccably good. He plays solid. He doesn't use gimmicks. He doesn't use anything that's really kind of like out of the ordinary. It's just a normal game, and it's up to the Zergs to really kind of bring their A game to deal with him.
Okay, thank you very much, both of you. We're going to move on very quickly. We're going to try and rattle through a load of games. We've got 4 more games to come today. After the break, though, we'll hear from the winner, the first man from the group into the quarterfinals, YoDa. Okay, YoDa's with us on the couch. Congratulations, YoDa. Fantastic victory. And welcome to the winner's couch. You only get to sit here if you've won.
최병 선수 일단 이기시고 8강 진출하시고 축하하시고 그리고 이제 여기는 이제 승자만 올 수 있는 그런 권위가 주어진 자리여서 환영한다고 하네요.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Fantastic win. We haven't really seen much of you Intel Extreme Masters since you won what seems like ages ago, and now you're back here at IEM and you're the first man out of the group into the quarterfinals. Explain what Intel Extreme Masters means to you in the way that you compete at these events and do so well.
이제 최병 선수한테 이제 IEM은 예전에 한번 이제 우승컵도 한번 들어본 적이 있는 대회이기도 하고 그런데 이제 한동안 모습을 해외 대회나 이런 데서 많이 이게 좀 보기 힘들었었는데 이번 토론토 IEM 와서 또 다시 한번 IEM을 계기로 8강도 진출하고 하는 게 이제 최병 선수한테 무슨 의미가 있는지.
일단 IEM 팀 나오고 게임을 거의 안 했어요. 그래서 그러니까 나오기 전부터 게임을 열심히 안 해가지고 성적이 안 나왔던 건 당연한 것 같고, 그리고 그러니까 그걸 다시 또 찾는 데까지 엄청 오래 걸렸어요. 그동안 해외대 많이 다녔지만 그때는 솔직히 많이 부족한 상태였는데 지금은 저 실력도 올라왔지만 또 테란도 많이 좋아가지고 지금 이번 대회는 되게 자신 있어요.
So I'm confident in this IEM particularly. I know that, you know, towards the end of last year, I left Incredible Miracle, and that was because I've kind of lost that motivation to drive me in the StarCraft 2, especially in the Team 2 as well. And after leaving the team, I kind of slacked off a little bit. I did go participate in foreign tournaments, but it wasn't like, even I knew I wasn't really built to participate, and I mean I went there without expecting any results. So yes, I wasn't very visible over the past, I guess, half a year or so, but I've been at it really hard since the move to GM, and I feel very confident, especially with the patch too.
Yeah, the patch has helped a little bit in terms of Terrans. Talk to me about TCM. I understand that it took a few weeks for you guys to talk through details and what have you, maybe 6 weeks or 7 weeks to get it all sorted. What is it like joining TCM right now?
저희 TCM 같은 경우에 이번에 최병원 선수랑 이렇게 해서 이제 스타크래프트 2를 이제 시작을 했다고 해야 되나?
네,
만들었는데 이제 확실히 이제 만들겠다라고 그쪽에서 발표를 하고 나서는 한 7주, 한 8주, 거의 한 2달 정도 걸린 것 같거든요.
네, 맞아요.
이제 팀에 대해서라든지 이제 뭐 선수 개인적으로 느끼기에 신생 팀에 들어간다는 건지 이제 뭐 그런 거에 대해서 설명 좀 잠깐만 해주세요.
네, 일단 팀을 구하기가 굉장히 어려워요, 지금 시기에. 왜냐면은
알고 있죠.
네, 그렇죠. 그래가지고 일단 저희도 뭐 팀이 구할 거란 생각은 못했어요. 그런데 그러니까 어떻게 하다 보니까 연락이 됐어요. 그래가지고 이렇게 서로 얘기는 했는데 솔직히 저희도 뭐 확실하게 된다 이런 생각 없었고 그냥 생기면은 하는 거고 안 생기면은 그냥 하던 대로 또 계속 하는 거고 이렇게 생각했는데 얼마 전에 이제 또 계약하고 이제 새로운 팀에 들어갔는데 뭐 새로운 팀이라서 딱히 특별한 건 없는 것 같고 일단 이제 새로 생겼으니까 저희가 또 TCM 발전적으로 할 수 있게 저희가 또 잘해야죠. 현우랑 저랑.
이번에 이제 강현 선수랑 이제 같이 들어가야 되는데
네.
뭐 신생 팀의 이제 창단이랑 그리고 팀에 합류하게 된 첫 번째 주자로서
네.
따로 이제 누구한테 뭐 고마움을 표시할 수 있거나 하면
일단 저희 사장님 일단 이름은 뭔지 모르겠는데 기억이 안 나는데 제 사장님께 감사드리고 그리고 뭐 저희 스폰서가 되게 많은데 아직 제가 다 못 외웠어요. 그래가지고 일단 다음에 외우면은
카메라에 그럼 등짝 한번 보여주시죠. 네, 이따 영어로 얘기하고 얘기하고.
일단 저희 스폰서한테 감사하고.
We definitely need explanation, James.
Yes, this is gonna be long. I don't know how much you guys are familiar with the current scene right now, where the scene is at, where the players and financially where we're at in terms of this so-called DEDGAME.
Indeed, yes.
Yeah. So it's been incredibly difficult to find a team, especially when I wasn't really showing my capabilities in tournaments. And luckily, TCM announced that they were interested in opening up a team, and that First and I were have been able to become the first ones to start off the team. So I'd like to really push myself and also First as much as possible, and lead this newborn team into another like worldly popular team like Evil Geniuses, Team Liquid, etc. And I said, and then I added and I asked him, is there anyone you want to do a special shout out and thank for all this to happen? And he's like, I want to first thank, God, I don't know what the owner's name is, but I want to thank him regardless. And I want to do shout outs to my sponsors.
Okay.
I'm like, and he like looks at him.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
let's do a shout outs.
He's getting used to his new team. I get it. It's okay. We understand. I can help you out a little bit because they happen to be friends of mine. So thank you on behalf of YoDa to Craig and Jim and all of the guys at TCM. There you go. I've thanked them for you. It's all done.
Perfect.
Job done. Thank you very much, YoDa, ladies and gentlemen. Winner of Group B, going through to the quarterfinal. Be right back with another match from Group C.